Alright, this is a quick video I wanted to do on the latest edition of my collection, the Sanctus Germainus Prophecies, the events leading up to the year 2012. It is written by Michael P. Mao. It's a pretty short book. It's just 9 chapters. Now, this is a prophetic book. It was written back in 2003, and the year being right now, 2020, makes it the perfect time to read a kind of book like this. So this is a very conspiratorial book and author. He starts off by setting up the faction who he calls the Dark Forces. Now, these are the beings behind all the bad in the world in his way, in his belief. Now, he doesn't use the word evil per se about them. He calls them ignorant, and he says their actions are evil, and he uses those words interchangeably. Dark and evil he uses throughout the book. He says their actions are evil, but they themselves are the souls of people who have lived and died on Earth that did not learn the lessons they were supposed to, that did not evolve as they were supposed to, and did not accept the truths of the light as he describes them. On the other side, he has the faction of the Great Brotherhood of Light, and you can tell some of the bias in it, as these are the good guys. These are the right guys. They are the ascended masters who learned everything they're supposed to learn, know everything they're supposed to know, but instead of moving on and onto the next levels of existence, they chose to stay behind and teach humanity. Which sits well as he moves on to the world in 2003, the world as he knew it. He writes about how the world is and what's happening, and of all the bad things that are happening. And he talks about the wars, the poverty, the oppressions in the world, and the corporations who are strangling the world. Now, as to what is happening, he is accurate, but as to the why behind it, he is very a narrow viewpoint, because he believes that it's one group, the Dark Forces, who are trying to destroy and control the world. As far as prophecy, a couple things. First, he talks a great deal about technology. He talks about the Internet of Things and how everything would be connected. All of your devices would be talking to each other. He also talks about cell phones or smartphones. He says that in the future, you'll be able to carry your entire computer around with you in your pocket. And he moves on into 2008, the financial collapse. He goes into a lot of detail as to how it sets up the housing crisis, the history of it. He talks about who is to blame, but he puts it at the feet of the Dark Forces. But he predicts it to happen between 2007 and 2011. So he's pretty accurate about that. He thought it was going to go a lot further. He thought that it was going to be a lot worse than it was. He thought the collapse would be a complete collapse of the US dollar, and that the entire currency would become worthless. And at the same time, with the hostilities in the Middle East, he thought that these two events would culminate together as World War III. The war would not be long, as he writes. He believes it would start around 2010, along at the same time as the collapse, and would end in 2012, the end of it, December 21st to be exact. He believed that in this war, the Dark Forces would be finally defeated, ushering in the Age of Aquarius. Now, the Age of Aquarius comes up in many writings and in many texts that I've read. I believe it's the same concept as heaven, only as the biblical heaven, but on this world and in our lifetimes, not after death. But beyond that, the Age of Aquarius represents more of the repair of humanity. This, he believes, would happen in 2012, or begin in 2012. Not that everything would be good, but this is the point where humanity begins to repair itself, starts to come together again and grow, leading up to 2020, this year, with the introduction of the World Teacher. Now, the World Teacher is a reincarnation of an older god, pretty much, who comes in, and he knows everything and all the good, and he brings in all the teachings of righteousness and everything, and he completes the healing of the human race and our evolution. Through this book, Michael P. Mao tells such an intriguing story and paints such a vivid picture. It's inspiring, and it's such a pleasant read. It's a very quick book. It's not It's not complicated or big words or big language. It's very simple. And if you can get past his biases, of which there are many, and some downright insulting views on humanity, you can have a good experience, just a good read with a good story. For such a short book, it is chock full of ideas and concepts and thoughts, even biases in some ways, that just open your mind and allow you to see things through his eyes, through the eyes of Michael P. Mao, and not a better way, not in any way a true way or the right way, but just a different view on the same things that we've known our whole lives, just a different view on where we come from and where we're going. He ends the book with the Age of Aquarius, with the World Teacher and all things well. It's a happy ending for the dismal times that we're living in and we've lived through. And even if all it is, the closest you can get to it is fiction, which it may be, if you can look past the biases and past the conspiracy and past the weird name, you can enjoy a pleasant read, a pleasant book.